Hello friends and welcome to my YouTube channel Simply Stocks, and today I'm going to talk about the pain in the textile industry requested by Rafshad TA. So let's get started. First of all, a disclaimer that this is not a stock recommendation. People taking any position into any share that I talk about should do that with their own due diligence and research, and I'm not in favor or against any company that I talk about. So now we are going to discuss about the textile industry of India, one of the major revenue provider and the major chunk of the GDP earnings that come from autos and the textile sector. And whatever slowdown that we are talking about is majorly in these two sectors. So what has gone wrong in the textile sector? I'll discuss that. The sector itself boasts of some of the major textile firms in India and abroad. So they supply globally, and some of the companies have become global market leaders in their own brands. You look at Welspun India, you look at Arvind Mills, you look at Himmat Singha Seed, and there are other companies who have done exceedingly well over the last 2 3 decades in terms of their business. But over the last couple of years, we have seen a lot of stress in this industry. They export globally dynamic cloth and yarn products, and the stock were doing very well during 2013 to 17 period. So they did really well after the 2013 slump that we had. If you remember, in the stock market where the Nifty went to 5400, 5400, seems like centuries ago. But after that, we have seen a real move in Indian centric stocks, especially textiles and autos, which did appreciably well from 2013 August till 2017 or so. And then over the last 2 years, we have seen the stress in these industries, especially in the textile stocks, which are now trading at single digit PE, in fact, lower single digit PE, and some of the stocks have lost 90% of their value from the peak. So, what are the problems for the textile industry? I've listed down here 10 major issues with the industry itself, and why it is under stress, and what lies ahead for this industry itself. First of all, is the erratic power supply. Now, textile firms usually work like a normal factory, or you can say a staple factory would work, that you have seen in the 70s or 80s movies that you'll see lately of Amitabh Bachchan, etc., in which you'll see that there are textile mills, and the mills work on a lot of strenuous, you can say, power supply, which goes on for hours. So you require very good power supply at the moment in order to produce very good products of cloth. And we have seen that although Prime Minister Modi has stressed the need for having power for all and power 24 hour across India, but we are still far from it, and probably it will take at least 8 to 10 years for India to reach to levels of what Taiwan, China, and other Southeast Asian regions are in terms of power supply. So, this is one big issue. The second major problem is the obsolete machinery. Now, why machinery is obsolete? This is because uh, companies have done expansion over the last 5 6 years, but the production is not the same. So they are not getting the amount of orders that they were getting, say, 5 years ago. And because of the global slowdown that we have seen, especially in Europe, without any orders, the company are not able to use their production capacity to the full, at least 80 to 90% of it. In that regard, they are not able to earn so much as much they are spending on their expanded capacity. And hence, if they are not able to earn, they are not able to replace the machinery because they don't have the money to do it. This is one of the reason. The other reasons I'll just explain in the next slide, because this is related to some other issues as well. But obsolete machinery, what it is doing is that it is reducing the production capacity, it is reducing the production efficiency of the company, and eventually profitability of the firms. Another huge huge reason for the decline of the textile industry has been the high debt the companies have took up because of their expansion and buying machinery, etc. When the times were good, and many of the companies are under high stress. You look at Alok industry, which was a bellwether of the textile industry in the 90s, is currently dwindling down to be bankrupt and sealed off. And this is all because of the debt they have taken. It's not that they have cheated or done something extremely wrong, but high debt has taken a toll on such companies. As I mentioned, low capacity utilization has led to companies spending more on keeping those capacity and machinery together rather than making money out of it, and that has led to a lot of stress for the companies. And this sector is very you can say capital intensive, so you have to put in a lot of money and investment in order to get a factory going. It is not easy to establish a factory and just start making cloth or making yarns products just like you do in cash businesses like Britannia, etc., or in companies in which they produce biscuits or cereals, etc. This is a very capital intensive business, and it requires a lot of time for one unit to get established and working. Another major issue with the textile industry has been the shortage of raw materials. So, a good quality cotton product or good quality yarn product is manufactured abroad, and the companies were able to import it at a lower cost earlier, say about 10-12 years ago. But now, with high tariffs and high excise and import duties, it has become very difficult for Indian companies to procure such quality products or raw material in India. And add to that, and that's why I was not making this point in the last slide, that with high excise duty and import duties imposed by the government, it is extremely difficult to import even machinery. So it's not about just the material for making the cloth, but the machine itself, which is required as primarily for making the products. These companies usually import it from Europe or the Middle East and all that, and it is extremely difficult now to do it. It is extremely costly to do it, and hence some of the companies which are mid-range or in the MSME sector are facing the brunt of this slowdown. Labor productivity has gone down, so with machinery not being at the best level, you need very good labor to produce the goods. And with labor going for other industry, as well as wanting more money out of the business, the utility of labors have gone down. So the productivity is not the same as it was, say, a decade back, 6-7 years back, and that has led to a big slump in the industry itself, because the eventual product that is being produced is not the same as it is from countries like Bangladesh, Taiwan, China, Indonesia, etc. So there's high competition from these countries, and that has led to India falling behind. So what it means is that whatever problems that I've cited in this presentation, just about 2 minutes back, about about the problems with power, problems with raw material, the excise duties, etc., are creating a lot of trouble for the Indian manufacturers, and that has meant that manufacturers in East Asian nations and Bangladesh are doing well because they are getting subs from the government itself. So apart from these duties and you could say the competition that is coming from the Southeast Asian region, one of the major reasons for the government to not able to put in or pump in money into companies which are doing reasonably well and running their shop currently is because there are a lot of, I think, 130 to 150 sick mills in India currently running, in which government has put in its foot and put in its money into these firms, and government has taken over these companies, and the mills are running. Probably a best case scenario would have been to just make these mills obsolete and let it not run and help those which are doing well, probably survival of the fittest. But the government finds it right to continue with these mills, and this is costing the government a lot, rather than having to help the companies which are already doing well, or the mills which are already doing well with some excise duties sops. The government is putting in money into these sick mills. So what needs to be done at the moment? So probably you would be invested in some of the textile companies because of its dividend factor, and these dividends will keep on coming. So you would be having a dividend yield of 2 to 3% minimum at the moment with some of these companies, but they are not producing the results as would a Bajaj Finance or a Whirlpool or Nestle, or even mid cap companies like Havels, etc. are doing. Uh, so what you require to do? Well, in my opinion, if you're losing less than 20%, and you are probably either in the money or losing less than 20%, then you need to get out of this sector, because it's going to take time before the sector would revive. You have to be cautious in sectors such as auto ancillary and textile. Probably pure auto you can buy, but still, I don't see the revival in the next couple of years. Similar with the heavy industry sector or the capital goods sector, in infrastructure sector, these sectors would struggle because the economy is currently dwindling at 4 5%. Only consumer sector would do well, because at 5% consumers would still buy consumer products, but the government would not put in money, or the private sector would not put in money for investment into capex or into heavy industries, or industries such as textile or autos. So if you have a 10-year view, yes, agreed, you can hold on and hold it for 10 years full, no matter where the price goes. If you lose, you lose, because I have an assessment that over the next 3 4 years these sectors would revive, but it is a hinge. It is not something which is certain. So you need to take your own call. Probably sell half and buy something which is more productive, or sell full and buy something which could give you 20 25% yearly, because at the moment it looks like the next couple of years would still be very tough for the textile industry unless government comes up with some soaps. So this was my video on the textile industry. Please like and subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon so that you can get my video straight away when I post it. Thanks a lot for watching.